Hello everyone. This is the 29th part of the story Game of Thrones, the Prideful one. Chapter 141. The days, waiting for the Night King were excruciating. I knew he was coming, the three-eyed raven was keeping me updated with his movements, and even then it was torture to wait for the bastard. Leaf has yet to sacrifice herself, she was apparently waiting for the Night King to arrive to do the sacrifice. And to top all the shit that was piling for the nearby future, my wife was coming to the most dangerous place on Earth right now, the North. Can you beat the fucker? Tormund inquired. Huh. Well, it's not matter of if. I have to beat him, even if he proves to be stronger. I will defeat him, I answered. Well, you kicked my arse in a single punch. So I want to believe you can, Tormund laughed, if we survive this. I will find myself a big, muscular, strong monster of a woman, and I will make her mine. I looked at the wildling with amusement, if we survive. I have someone in mind for you, who knows, she might like you, I chuckled, wondering if without Jaime, Brienne would fall for him. That it's a promise. Tormund grinned. I nodded with a smile. Well, I will stretch my legs for a bit, if you need me. Chilling cold invaded my body, like never before, to the point it almost felt like fear. They are close, Tormund muttered, holding his axe tight, those suckers are near. Before I had a chance to process the feeling that had invaded me for a brief second, the three-eyed raven appeared, they are a day away. The raven stated. That cold fucking feeling was, that bastard flexing his undead unholy power at me from afar? Good, well, he wasn't the only one that had things to flex about. I'm waiting for him. You sure have some balls, Tormund laughed, I like it. Fighting death itself with no fear. You are like a considerably stronger and younger version of me. No, just no. I rolled my eyes at him as I walked away. It's undeniable. Tormund shouted as I walked away. Great, just what I needed, someone weirder than Oberyn. Tormund is testing your patience? Ygritte asked with a smirk. Yes, but also no, he's just being annoying. I chuckled. That's Tormund for you, Ygritte shrugged, by the way. I had a question. I wanted to ask you. I looked at her for a second, wondering what was the question in her head, before I nodded, sure, go ahead. What is your plan with us, after this end? Ygritte asked. A very valid question, her people were notorious enemies of the kingdom, some of the wildling tribes were known for raiding villages, others for eating people, and some should be happy the Night King killed them. Because I would have tortured them, I suppose, then depends on your people. Huh? Ygritte muttered, confused. I don't have anything against your people, heck, I even admire some of you, but there are some things I just can't allow. I stated, eating people, raiding, and of course, kidnapping others, forcing them to marry members of the tribe. It's our way, Ygritte said in a defensive tone. Well, if that's your way, then the only fate that awaits your people is extinction, I stated with a cold tone, so your only chance of survival is by obeying. My people don't kneel, we know no king, Ygritte shot back defensively. I looked at her with amusement. I think there is a problem of miscommunication between us. Let me fix that. Your people will kneel, or they will die. There is no middle ground. You are either with me, or against me, that much you can decide. Ygritte looked at me, anger flashing through her face like Christmas lights. My people, the few that remain, are not a threat to you. We don't eat people, we mostly survive by hunting, and raiding every now and then. All we want is true freedom. You are in my kingdom, and you will abide by the rules I have. You don't like them? You can leave, and rot. I don't care if the ancestral way of your people is raiding, because, if you do decide to raid and fuck my authority, I will hunt every single wilding, erasing your kind from the face of the earth. You want absolute freedom, by all means, go beyond my borders, but within them, you will obey, I stated, leaving no room for more conversation. If she wanted to continue her life the way she was taught, she would meet her end sooner than later. You are harsh to those that show opposition. The three-eyed raven commented, as I walked. Maybe you are right. Maybe I should ask them, with something like, pretty please don't break my rules or I'll get mad. I joked, I'm not asking her to suck my dick. All I'm asking is for her and her people to understand that they have to abide by my rules, if they want to remain under my kingdom, and that if they break the rules, I will have to kill them, and that applies to everyone. If fucking Ned Stark starts raiding and raping people, I would kill him without hesitation. They won't kneel, the three-eyed raven stated. I hope for their own good they don't break my rules. I shrugged. Besides, I have confidence that they will see how bad their situation is, and will fall into line. After all, the Dothraki bend the knee, and they were the pinnacle of shit human beings. I see, the three-eyed raven said. Oberyn Martell point of view. Well, I had a good life. I fucked a lot. I drank a lot. I enjoyed every pleasure life had to offer, and more. Deep down I knew I couldn't complain. I had done everything I wanted. I had avenged Elia. Well, Ronard did. Nonetheless, Elia had been avenged. I had seen my daughters growing to be fear-inspiring women, and well, my life was complete. Well, almost. I made a promise, the moment I met Ronard, a kid young enough to be my son. I promised the gods that if he helped me avenge my family, I would forever serve him, protecting him. Being fair, I didn't know at the time he was capable of kicking my ass with a single hand, but nonetheless, I was a man of my word. Father, do you believe him? Obara inquired, as we rode towards the north. I do. I mean, he's fireproof. I kinda have to believe him. I shrugged. Well, I'll be highly disappointed if I die and I didn't get to ride him. Tyene pouted. Am I that annoying? I chuckled. Please, for the love of me. Stop that. The queen will have my balls if you keep hitting on her husband. She just can't process there is a man that can resist her. Nymeria rolled her eyes at her sister. He's just playing hard to get, Tyene scoffed. Yeah, sure, whatever helps you sleep, sister, Obara smirked. And so my dear daughters started to argue, and I couldn't help but smile, knowing this might be the last moment I have to enjoy such simple things. Chapter 142. The last 24 hours of waiting were excruciating, and yet the worst had yet to come. As the waves of undead soldiers got themselves into position, I couldn't help but stare in disbelief. His army eclipsed mine in sheer numbers. Giants, ice spiders, and more, with 80% of his army being nothing but walking skeletons, meaning he had resurrected even those who had died a long time ago. And yet, the Night King was nowhere to be seen. Where the fuck is he? I muttered in question as I paced around the wall. I can't see him, there are too many of them, the three-eyed raven grumbled. I can see that, I sighed. He's coming, Leaf said, taking a deep breath. I will commence the ritual. We will buy you as much time as we can possibly exchange for our lives. Very well, I nodded, not really paying much attention to her. Ronard. That was him, his voice, the dark and chilling tone that had plagued my dreams with nightmares, sending shivers of cold down my spine. We finally meet. Taking a deep breath, I turned to look beyond the wall, seeing the monster slowly approaching the wall. Can't say it's a pleasure, I spat, loud enough to deliver the message. Death is unavoidable. I am a calamity, you can't change, the Night King stated. Just accept death and stop this struggle. I see. Well, here is my counter-offer, I shouted, so that my voice could reach him. Fuck you. You truly think you stand a chance, do you? The Night King sighed. Then allow me to show you the truth. With that he snapped his finger. Immediately after, a massive dragon glided above his undead army, landing beside him, making it clear that the undead dragon was at least 4 times taller than the wall, though I had noticed something. Holy fuck! Neltharion hissed, seeing the massive dragon from afar. There was no doubt in my mind that in a physical clash, Neltharion would be sorely outmatched by that thing, but in aerial combat, Neltharion reigned supreme. The dragon, while massive, had holes on his wings, making it hard for him to fly very high, limiting his movement to glides and large jumps. Are you overcompensating for something? I shouted, trying to see if he was even capable of feeling insulted. Let's make a friendly challenge. To show you why, it's best to give up willingly, the Night King said as he ignored my previous statement. Friendly challenge. What was this fucker thinking? What? A duel, you and me, no one else, no army, Just the two of us. If you win, well, my army dies. Wasn't that too good to be true? What was he planning? And if I lose? I inquired. You can't be seriously considering this. Malfarion hissed. It depends. You might die, or you might survive, but that's not what I really want. I want to show the world that even their savior is powerless against me. Talk about ego. But I had to admit, his deal was sweet, too sweet, the one-on-one I had been so desperately planning for, and he was just offering it to me. The problem was, I had no idea if that abomination was going to keep his word. There was no guarantee that he would, and against an army that big. I would die in minutes, if I was lucky. Dad! Listen to me. You can't. He will cheat, and he will kill you. Don't do something rash. That bastard will just call his army as soon as you step there. Malfarion hissed, worried, and he was right, but still, if there was a chance, to avoid all the unnecessary blood. I wanted to try it. If I accept, what guarantee I have you won't just use your army to kill me? I asked. No! Malfarion roared at me, anger being the controlling emotion. I don't have a need to lie. I will win. Lies are meaningless to me. His tone of voice, his demeanor, his lack of mortality. This monster saw himself as a god, and fortunately for me, he didn't see me as a rival worthy of even considering the option of lying. Very well, I nodded. I accept. I won't let you. Malfarion growled at me. If I have to drag you out of the castle, I will. He will fight the duel alone, I reassured him. I won't let you. Malfarion hissed in pain. I'm not ready. I can't. You can't. Do you really think he will outclass me that bad? I asked. No. I know you can beat him, but I don't trust his words. Malfarion hissed softly, nuzzling my head. Well, if he tries anything, I'm counting on you, you know to. Drag me out of there, I laughed, wondering if I was making the right choice. If I die, get Daenerys, the kids, your brothers and the ravens and fly to the other side of the world, and never stop. Malfarion just stared at me, pain, emotional pain showing on his face. I will. I was afraid. My own stupidity had led me to, well, what I was doing right now, walking towards the enemy army. At least they weren't moving at all, but they were staring, quite intensively, following me with their eyes, their unblinking eyes. As I promised. None of them shall move, the Night King stated, as I appreciated how he actually looked. His face was giving a light dim blue color, like a small fog was covering his face. His eyes were glowing blue. It was very similar to Arthas, from World of Warcraft. God, I hope he doesn't have the same powers if. So I am so fucked. I see, I said as I used a bit of my internal fire to keep my body warm. Being in front of him was worse than swimming naked on Winterfell during winter. The cold was unbearable in front of him. Let our duel begin. Let's, I nodded as I unsheathed my sword. Malfarion Mormont Ravenicus Targaryen point of view. I had a bad feeling about this. That abomination was hiding something that would give him an edge on this duel. But what? I don't like this. I muttered to myself. Your father is both brave and stupid. If this bet of his fail, humanity is gone. The three-eyed raven sighed. Ronard Mormont point of view. I rushed at the monster, swinging my blade in a circular motion, only for him to move inches before the attack even managed to connect, delivering a counterattack to my side that I managed to block just in time. The attack itself managed to push me back a few meters. He was strong enough to push me back. I had to change my strategy. I had to play dirty. Taking a deep breath, as I summoned my fire within, knowing full well he was immune to fire. And would most likely don't move to avoid such attack. But what he didn't know was that I didn't pretend to use fire. The fire was just the means to an end, and my end was nothing but smoke. With a smirk, I coughed a smoke screen at him. I had to be fast. His field of vision was obstructed. This was my chance to deliver a killing blow and end this. Locking my eyes on my target, I swung my blade at his neck, but much to my shock, in response to my attack, he simply stepped out of the way. I kept on hacking my blade at him, each and every single attack being dodged with ease. This didn't make any sense. He wasn't that much stronger than me. His first attack said that much. We were in the same league, and even then, my attacks couldn't reach him. He shouldn't be able to dodge so many attacks, when the majority of them are aimed at his blind spot. Without even looking at me, he was dodging shit he didn't even see. And like a thunder, the first cut came unannounced, making me flinch in pain. You see, you can't even reach me. I held my arm in pain as a bit of blood slowly dripped down, as I tried to find the how was he moving like that. His reactions weren't normal. It was as if he was seeing me from all angles. But how? Don't get cocky, you are not the first to make me bleed, I scoffed, getting ready for round 2. Chapter 143. His movements were too perfectly timed, left and right. My attacks were being either blocked or avoided, and little by little, he was cutting me. For the first time in my life, I was struggling to keep up. For the first time in my life, I felt outmatched. Give up? Give up? Never. If I didn't find a weakness in him, everything would end badly. I couldn't allow that to happen. If I had to die, I would make my death have some meaning. You don't get tired of asking me the same thing over and over and over again? I inquired, trying to maintain my bravado, yet it was clear as the day who was winning so far. Perhaps you're right, the Night King concluded. With nothing more to say, the Lich lunged forward, quickly sprinting towards me and coming closer, jabbing out his sword in an attempt to stab my eyes. Still, reflex kicked in, and I jumped backwards, avoiding the attack, but he continued his assault, trying to cut my legs to stop my movement. I noticed this at the last second and got away with a small, bleeding slice. During this exchange, I noticed something I had failed to earlier, that while attacking, we were equally matched, yet his defense was vastly superior, meaning I was able to defend but no attack. I knew deep down something was off with this. No one excels in one category over the other that much, and being undead didn't make him the exception. As I studied his moves, trying to find a weakness in his defense, he again sprinted at me. Still, this time I just waited with my sword ready, blocking his attack as our blades clanged together, creating a rumbling echo through the ice hell around us, and another little detail popped. I was physically stronger than him, not by much, but enough to push him back. Somehow my fighting chance had been exponentially increased when I stopped trying to attack, taking the lead, like I normally do, and now that I think about it, every cut he had been able to give me was after a failed attack, at least the big ones, meaning whatever advantage he had, was only active when I was on the attacking lead. Going into the defense? Intriguing, the Night King said, as the weight of my sword was pushing him back, but he soon recovered, creating an ice lance trying to catch me by surprise. Barely avoiding the unexpected attack, I jumped back and dashed forward with my sword straight out in front of me as I attempted to stab him. I knew this was a bad choice, but I had to see that ability of his in action, and once again has dodged my attack with deadly precision and cut my chest. Shit! I snarled, jumping back to recover, as I went over the information I had gathered. For one, his speed hadn't changed at all while dodging, nor his attack power. What had actually changed was his battle awareness. But how? While attacking and while dodging, his levels of awareness changed drastically. Perhaps. I had a crazy theory, but if it proved to be right, Neltharion would never let this die, telling me I told you so for the rest of my human life. Taking a deep breath, I filled my lungs with air as I expelled from a literal sea of flames at the Night King. I knew fire didn't hurt him, but that wasn't my intention. Using the massive tsunami of flames as a cover, running around the Night King, expelling out a combination of smoke screens and more fire, creating a dome of fire and smoke around him. Once I was sure his entire field of vision was either covered in flames or smoke, I dashed behind the monster, as I noticed he was staggering back, not knowing where I had gone. Taking this opportunity, I swung my blade at him. And this time, my attack managed to cut him. He reacted a bit slower, dodging the attack from being lethal, but still. I had finally delivered a small cut on his arm that was now cracked like a mirror. You cheating little asshole, I chuckled in both anger and happiness. So that's your power. No wonder I was getting my ass kicked. Impressive. I didn't expect you to figure it out. Not after the first smokescreen failed, the Night King said, holding his arm. To think you share a field of vision with all your minions. No wonder my attacks never hit home. The fucker had literally stolen a page from the Rinnegan book. It changes nothing. You are barely able to keep up at this point, the Night King stated. Perhaps, I shrugged. I never really intended to kill you right here. Not after this. If you had saved all of this for a real, in the battlefield, you would have won. I have no doubts of that. You talk as if this little discovery changed your unshakable and unavoidable defeat, the Night King said. You have no idea how much this changes things, I smirked. Perhaps. But who is to say you will come alive out of this? The Night King smiled at me. Well, he has a point, a single command on his part, and I was dead meat. Ominous. I have also to show you all my powers. We are in many ways equal. You control fire, and I control ice. Yeah, I noticed, I interrupted. Oh, but that little spear was just the tip, the Night King stated, as he moved his hands, sending a barrage of iceberg spikes at me that started protruding from the ground in front of him, going towards me. Shit, I muttered. I leaped from iceberg spike to iceberg spike, struggling to avoid being impaled by them in the process, as my left hand suddenly started glowing, showing the runes of Gandalf. This was the second time something like this had happened. It was unexpected, but somehow it was not easier to move around. I was stronger and faster. You can't win. The Night King screamed. As I continued to dodge his endless assault of ice-powered attacks, change the damn tune, will ya? I shouted back as I started to plan my escape. While this newfound strength was helpful, I had to get back into the wall. I had no chance of winning as I was now. My body was on its limit, and the runes helping me right now were at best a momentary boost that was numbing all my pain. Meaning the moment they stopped working, I was going to find myself in a world of pain. Daenerys' point of view. I had to stop Ronard from making a terrible mistake. I had to stop him. That alone was the sole reason I was flying with Crow and Regal to the wall. We were but a few minutes away, a few minutes of torture. I will kill Dad if he did what the Red Weird Lady said. Crow hissed. I really hope nothing happens. Regal hissed back quietly. I couldn't understand them. But I knew they were as worried as me, that much was certain. Chapter 144. I continued to dodge the endless assault aimed at me, struggling to dodge each attack. My stupidity had been my own outdoing. The Night King had the terrain advantage on this duel. His ice powers were feeding off the terrain, making his attacks exponentially stronger than they were supposed to be. Each attack was stronger than the last, leaving a trail of destruction behind. I had no idea for how long I would be able to continue dodging. I knew that I had to retreat. It was more than obvious that if I stayed fighting on his domain, I would die, and dying was no option. Having problems? The dark echoing voice of the Night King asked, as he continued his deadly assault. Not at all, I answered, as I dodged a spike of ice that was about to pierce my leg. This is nothing but a good workout, I lied. The strain I had been until now putting on my muscle was starting to show. My arms and legs were screaming in pain, agony. I had never worked them up to such extent, and the worst part was that if I was feeling pain it meant the runes were starting to go off, and the moment that boost I had gained thanks to the runes disappeared I would with certainty die. The wall was around 1.5 miles away, meaning that if I took a run for it, I would be able to reach the wall within the minute. That was, of course, taking into consideration the current physical boost the runes were giving me. Dodging 3 spikes, all aimed at my vitals, I blasted towards the wall, deciding. I had all the information about the Night King I needed, and a general idea of how to defeat him. Staying any longer was not a good idea. Going back so soon? The Night King asked, speeding up his attacks. You can't leave the party yet. Creepy motherfucker. I'll invite to my own party later. For now, fuck you. The closer I got to the wall, the slower my movements got. Little by little the shining rune in my hand started to glow less and less, and the pain that it was holding started to spread, invading every corner of my body. This sudden decline of physical prowess allowed the Night King to start connecting attacks that I was now barely dodging, making sure no vital areas were struck, but that didn't mean getting pierced in the legs, arms and other parts of my body was not painful. Feeling a bit down? I looked at the Night King, who was walking towards me, with an evil grin. He was enjoying my suffering, at least before he became this asshole. He was just following his purpose. He wasn't truly evil before, now, he was. Fuck you, I spat as I struggled to stand up, cursing my situation. I was but a few dozen meters from the wall, so close, yet so far away. I told you, didn't I? I cannot be defeated. Would you stop sucking your own dick? I swear. I can hear you gag every time you talk about how great you are. I sighed, as I held my sword ready to fight, though the pain, coursing through my body was making this simple task a living hell. It took a few minutes for the monster to be in front of me, minutes I dragged my almost limp body closer to the wall, while keeping an eye on him, but now he was standing in front of me, holding his blade, about to strike me down. You fought well, Ronard, but I was beyond your human chance. With that, the monster brought the sword down, covering the snow with my blood. So this was it, truly pathetic, everything I did. And it was for nothing. I died by the edge of my own arrogance. No. Daenerys' point of view 10 minutes earlier. I was so close to the wall, in a few minutes I would be there to save Ronard, alongside me my dragons and the red witch that Regal had decided to pick up after going back for her. I feel his fire, in the cold, close to him, Melisandre muttered, shaking and cold. The cold is overpowering his fire, freezing his flames. In the distance I could see Neltharion, on the edge of the wall, and while I couldn't understand him, I knew he was shaking for his father. Where's my husband? I shouted as I landed on the wall, with my dragons, where? I shouted once again, turning around, to see Ronard practically dragging himself to the wall, limping his way to the wall, to me. Inches behind him, the monster that had been haunting our lives, the culprit behind our current suffering, the Night King, with his sword raised, and an evil smirk, directed at us, just before he brought his blade down on Ronard. Ronard's blood splattering everywhere. No! I cried as Regal, Crow, and Neltharion roared in pain, as they all descended to the other side of the wall, making a triangle of fire around his father. I will kill you. I shouted in hate, as I held Ronard's body close to me. I won't stop until you are dead. I have bested your champion, enjoy your last month of living. The creature said, ignoring our pain. I will end you. Neltharion roared, shattering the ice-cold floor beneath his claws. Melisandre point of view. Ronard was not alive, and not dead. He was between the two worlds. I could feel it. The fire within him was weak, but it was there. There has to be something you can do, please, Daenerys cried. I don't care the price. I better than anyone understood her pain. I have already asked the Lord to bring him back. Now all we have to do is wait. For once. I begged my God, with all my heart, as I saw Ronard's broken body. All we can do is wait. Ronard Mormont point of view. Darkness, what a stupid end. I died, and I didn't even make my demise worth something. No! Fuck this. I refuse to die. Got a fucking nothing. Bring me back. I will. Huh, that was fast, and anticlimactic, thanks. You acted rash. You let him win, you were stupid. I was. There was no point of denying it. I was overconfident, and this was the price. But so was the Night King. For as long as an ember remains, the fire will always come back, stronger than before. Chapter 145. Time was quite the little thing. Without anything but darkness around, it was impossible to know time. So here I was, feeling like I was floating in a void of emptiness, devoid of anything. Not knowing how long had it passed since I formally died for a second time. I was breaking records. I had died twice in a lifetime. Not many people can boast about that. At the very least, the asshole I have for a god decided to resurrect me, probably because I still have the rip-off of the Lich King to defeat. Not that I complained. I loved living. And if the excuse for me to live again was to murder that asshole, I was fucking in. But while I was happy, I was coming back. I was scared, not of the challenge the Night King represented. Still, the cost of resurrecting. In the books, every person that was brought back to life lost something. A part of them, Catelyn Stark, lost all her memories and humanity. Thuras was but a fragmented human, walking without purpose. And Jon felt empty, as if something he didn't know was missing. And I couldn't help but wonder, what would my price be? I knew the time of death had something to do with it. But still, I couldn't help but ponder over the thought, a price. I muttered in the void. Yes, a price, it's the natural order of things. You were rather talkative now. It was odd to see this bastard being so responsive. You were in my domain, reaching you here is fairly simple. I suppose that made sense, but still, fuck that guy, so a price? Every time a fire starts, fuel is needed to do so. Fire can't exist without a source to feed off. And my original source is gone? I inquired. Yes, but no, your case is complicated. Your life force, your fire is intriguingly big, but yes, you are right now, indeed dead. So I will lose something. I can't believe that after all the shit I had been through. I made a scion move. I went into battle without a strategy. Not much, thanks to the priestess fast action. Mental note, thank Melisandre, but it will be something you will forever feel missing, and you may never know what. Well, who knows? Perhaps this resurrection will take all embarrassing memories out of my head. Wouldn't that be convenient? I laughed. You are about to wake up, don't fail next time, champion. I won't, and fuck you. He's waking up. I slowly opened my eyes, and immediately noticed something was wrong. My right eye felt off, the why? I couldn't put my finger on it. Ronard. Daenerys cried, hugging the ever-living crap out of me, and yet I felt somewhat numb. At first, I got scared this resurrection had taken my feelings, but I knew I still loved her, so I concluded I was just numb for now to say something. Is he okay? Please don't make me break those walls. Crow roared from the outside. He has to be okay. If he isn't, I kill him myself. Maltharion hissed. I will burn every single one of them. I will burn them all. Regal muttered. I feel odd, I muttered, as I clumsily reciprocated Daenerys' affections. What's the damage? I asked, wondering if my body had any permanent damage to it. You lost an eye and have some permanent scars in your chest and back. Melisandre was the first one to answer, but your eye, dash. I lost a, what? I asked, but I can see just fine. I tried closing one eye, and then the other, and yeah, I was able to see, yeah, I can see. Well, I was about to get there. The Lord not only restored your life, but your eye, Melisandre explained. Can I have a mirror? I asked as I brushed the crying Daenerys that had buried her head on my chest, wanting to hear every beat of my heart. Sure, Melisandre nodded, giving me her mirror, and what I saw was unique. I had a scar that looked like the one Kakashi from Naruto had, but a tad smaller, and my eye, well, it was awesome. It was like seeing a fucking fireplace. I mean, the white part of the eye was still white, but the part that was supposed to be colored, well, that shit looked like it was on fire. Neat. I hear him. Maltharion roared in excitement. You really have to get out. Those 3 dragons have been outside for 2 days. Nick Fury cawed, and next time you try to pull that shit off, I will fight you, motherfucker, he added jokingly. And lose? I chuckled. I never said I would win. Nick Fury shrugged. You are really here? Daenerys cried, sobbing in my chest. I can't. I dashed, she muttered as she took a step back to better look at me. Are you really here? At my nod, she gave me a slap, which woke me a bit more. Don't you ever do something like that again. Don't ever break your promises again. I promised her that I would never die. This was probably the most well-deserved slap ever, and I was getting off the hook quite easily. I know what you're thinking. I'm getting off the hook easily. Well, think twice. Maltharion growled with excitement. I will kick your ass, old man. And my brothers will help. I'm sorry. I never wanted to die. I said, looking straight into her beautiful eyes. How does it feel? Melisandre inquired. Being dead was odd. I felt like my body was floating in an endless sea of darkness. I answered, as I took a deep breath, being alive again, odd too. I feel numb for now, like confused with all. It's weird. Did you find it? Daenerys inquired. Melisandre told me, you fought the monster to find its weakest, so, did you? No, but I found his strengths, which is equally helpful. I sighed. On a terrain with ice, like beyond the wall, he holds a great firepower, but his real power is the connection he has to his minions. He can see what they see all the time, meaning attacking him is near impossible if he has an army around him. Can you defeat him if you fight him one-on-one? Melisandre asked. Most definitely, with his army and terrain, he is above me, but in solo combat. I am better, I nodded. He was only able to outmatch me so bad, because I dueled him on his own terrain, under his own rules. Had I known he shared a field of vision with hundreds of thousands, I would have never accepted the duel. So to defeat that abomination, we have to cut his eyes, one by one, Melisandre concluded, with a very dark tone. That's the idea. I nodded, as a yawn escaped my lips. I need a nap. I feel exhausted. I will fetch someone to carry you to a bed big enough for the both of us, Daenerys said, tears still rolling down her beautiful face. No need, just lead the way, I said as I passionately kissed her, and it felt amazing, reconfirming the fact, I still had my emotions. Perhaps I lost something insignificant after all. This marks the end of part 29 of the story Game of Thrones, The Prideful One. Thank you for listening. Please like the video and hit the subscribe button to listen more. Hit the bell icon to get notified of all the new content uploaded to the channel ASAP.